Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's first IELTS live streaming class. My name is Adrian, and I will be your IELTS teacher for today, as usual. I'm broadcasting to you live from beautiful Budapest, Hungary. I see some people already in here. Hi, Daljit. Hi, Sonu. Just as we get going here, I want to do a quick audio and video check. So if you're watching, hi, Sanim. Please let me know if you can hear me okay and you can see the board behind me. You can see me okay. Hi, Thi. Hi, Harmail. Hi, Aitan. If you can hear me, if you can see me, just say, yep, everything's good. Thank you, Mohammed. Awesome. All right. So today we are doing an IELTS speaking section. This is coming out of our 6th exam, if you have our test books. So this is IELTS speaking, and it's coming from test number 6. And of course, the date today is June the 6th, at least where I'm at. All right. Our materials are coming from our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Some of the best online material in the world to help you prepare for IELTS on those websites. So make sure to check us out there, join our full course, and help yourself pass IELTS. Spend a little to save a lot. It's a good idea, so you don't have to keep doing that expensive IELTS test over and over again. If you're one of our YouTube sponsors, please definitely contact us. Send me an email so I can hook you up with our exam books. Our websites have all of our live lesson videos as well as pre-recorded high-definition lesson videos, interactive exams, and lots of other help. If you have an IELTS question, please don't hesitate. Send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. If you want to practice some IELTS speaking interviews, just like in the real exam, through Skype or WhatsApp, again, please send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. And of course, there's writing and editing help on the websites also. All right, since this is a speaking lesson, please make sure that you repeat what I say, okay? I can't hear you. I can see what you type into the chat, but I'd like to imagine that wherever you are sitting in the world, whether you're in India or Brazil or Korea, we have students from all around the world. And if you're sitting at home or sitting at a cafe, you are repeating the questions and the answers that we will be going through in the class. Repeat them nice and loud. Don't be shy, okay? You have to be confident on the IELTS speaking section. So now is a good time to practice that confidence. Hi, Baljit. Hi, Manisha. Hi, Arcana. Those are some of our sponsors jumping in with their green names and logos. Nice to see you all in here. Hi, Jeffrey. All right. So again, this is coming out of our 6th exam book. Now, let's talk a little bit about speaking. Couple of important points about the speaking exam. So the speaking exam, or the speaking part of the IELTS, is roughly 12 to 15 minutes long. That's how much time the interviewers have for each candidate. One of your biggest enemies during the speaking section is what? Sehaj Kaur. There you are, my good man or woman, I'm not sure. But I just mentioned your name, so I can see you in here. Thanks for joining. What is one of the biggest problems or one of the biggest enemies that you're going to face in the IELTS speaking? Thank you, Manisha, for that lesson for me. Stress, shyness, Lytton, absolutely. So stress and shyness are your biggest enemies. So the number one, or enemy number one, during the IELTS speaking is definitely, I would agree, shyness and stress or nerves. Nervousness, lack of confidence. Okay, so very quickly, what can you do to overcome your stress, your nervousness, your lack of confidence? What are some good steps? Absolutely, hesitation and so on. Yeah, Arcana, you've definitely hit one of the major ones. You have to practice, okay? So when you practice, you gain confidence. And that's why we offer this option for students to do live IELTS practice interviews with us through Skype or WhatsApp. We always use video as well, just to try to give you that confidence, okay? Breathing, Avatar, absolutely, absolutely. Don't forget your breathing. So remember to breathe. Be prepared, have good sleep, have good food, okay? That will work as well. Make eye contact, talk to other people as well, absolutely. Show up to the exam early, find other candidates who are going to take the IELTS speaking the same day and are waiting for their exam. Take some practice sheets with you and say, hey, are you here for the IELTS practice or for the IELTS exam? And they'll say yes, and then you say, do you mind sitting down with me for 5 minutes and just going through some questions? That can really, really help. Yeah, Jeffrey, go to the test about an hour early and then find other people and practice some speaking with them so you warm up. Yeah, don't walk into your IELTS speaking interview cold, okay? That's a really bad idea, all right? What else? What else should you keep in mind to stop stress? So, practice, remember to breathe. Go to the exam early. Speak English to others. What else? Drink water, keep yourself hydrated, remove your negative thinking, visualize that you're doing well. Yeah, and there's a couple other things, okay? One of them is, please remember that on IELTS, you're a number. You have a student number. You're nobody special. I think, it sounds terrible to say that you're nobody special, but hopefully that will help you to calm down a little bit. Remember that these IELTS interviewers, they will have about 20 of these speaking section interviews during the day. There will be people who will be worse than you. There will be people who will be better than you. It's a very, very little chance that you are going to be the worst person or the best person that they see in the day. They're not going to remember you. They're not thinking about you. Remember, too, that there's about 2 billion people in the world that speak English as a second language, and there are accents from all around the world, native accents of English and international accents. So you have people who speak Australian English, lots of accents there. You have people who speak West Coast North American, British English, Irish English. So you have lots of different accents. Don't worry too much about your pronunciation. Most English teachers, most IELTS interviewers have heard many different kinds of pronunciations and accents, so you don't need to worry about that, okay? Yeah, there's Indian English, so there's lots and lots and lots of different kinds. So here's kind of a weird thing to say for you to keep you calm, but it will help. You are not special, okay? There are worse and better students. You are a number. Just do your best. And of course, another thing that will help you calm your nerves and do better on the IELTS speaking section is by thinking of your IELTS interviewer as who? So who should you imagine is your IELTS interviewer? What's a good way to think about that? I know this is review for many of you that watch these lessons regularly, but it's a really important one to keep in mind. And Colette right away says, your grandpa, your grandparents. Yeah. Vidya Sai, you said friend. Abhi, you said friend. Friend is not good. We talk very differently when we think about our friends. We have special language that develops through the years with our friends. They're the same age as us. So we tend to assume that our friends already have a lot of information that is the same as what we have about technology, about our life, about our neighborhood. So when we speak to our friends, we omit or we miss a lot of information that's actually very very important on IELTS. So it's much, much better to think about the interviewer as your grandpa. Why? Because your grandpa, he's older, so you need to speak loud and clear so grandpa can hear you and understand you. You feel comfortable with grandpa. Grandpa is maybe a couple generations removed, so he doesn't know about the internet. He doesn't know about smartphones. You need to give a lot of details, okay? So again, please keep that in mind. I can't stress how important strategy that is. So think about the interviewer as your grandfather. Right? So speak loud, clear, and complete. Okay? Now, what do you need to do to get high scores in the speaking section? So what should I do to get high scores in speaking? Okay, again, just going through some of these important points. We haven't had a speaking class in a number of days, I think more than a week maybe. What do I need to do to get a good score? Okay, so there's a good couple answers there. Abby says, speak loud and clear. So speak loud and clear with intonation. So notice how when I'm speaking, my language goes up and down, up and down. English is an intonated language, so it's not a flat language like some other languages. Japanese, for example, is quite a flat language. English is intonated. It means it has inflections and deflections, so it goes up and down, up and down. So you need to speak loud and clear with intonation, and that also means imagine that all these questions are exciting. One of the interesting mistakes that students make on IELTS is they keep thinking, okay, this is just an exam. I need to get a good score. So they find it boring. The questions are not interesting, and they're talking like this. Okay, where did you go to school? I went to school in my hometown. My school was about 2 kilometers from my house, and I walked there every morning with my friend. It's quite a good school. I enjoyed it a lot. So even though I'm using some pretty good words and expressions, it's not going to get a very good score because it sounds like I'm just ready to go to sleep. So don't do that, okay? Don't do that. You're speaking to grandpa, speak loud. Yeah, be energetic, Sheju, absolutely. Okay, and I've seen some other really good tips coming up. Those were good. I saw them. So don't use too many abbreviations. Speak in full, clear sentences. So in this way, IELTS is a little bit different than natural speech in the real world. You need to be very expressive, much more expressive than you would be sitting in a cafe talking to your friends. So speak in full sentences, use the grammar of the question, and answer all parts of the question. So some questions have 2 parts. Make sure you pay attention and you answer everything. A couple students says use complex sentences. Couple students said use conjunctions. That's kind of the same. So definitely yes, use complex sentences. Use conjunctions. Okay? Don't just say because, say therefore, as a result, since. So use different conjunctions for cause and effect, especially because there are a lot of those kinds of responses. So use complex sentences, use conjunctions, use coordinating. One of the big ones that students completely forget to use is use correlative and use subordinating. If you don't know these conjunctions, please make sure to review them. You can review them on our website. Okay, and the one that I want students to focus on, because this is the one I find students really miss, is what Ayman just put up there. Ayman Razlan, if you girls and guys are looking at the chat there, that's a really good one, Ayman. Give examples. That's one that a lot of students miss. So IELTS for speaking and for task 2 writing wants you to use examples from your own life and your own experience. And that means talking about yourself, okay? So use examples for at least 50% of the questions. Examples need to be from your own experience. Okay? You can use other kinds of examples as well, but they need to be from your life, all right? And to help you with this, you want to use leading expressions of time, okay? I can't stress this enough. We're going to practice this today because this is the one, girls and guys, that I really find a lot of my students, even when I tell them this, they're still missing from their answers, and I really want you to focus on this. So use examples from your own experience to help. Use leading expressions of time. So leading expressions of time means things like yesterday or 2 weeks ago or last July, okay? And then keep talking, all right? So for example, yesterday I went to a beautiful park called Sunrise Park with 2 of my friends. We had a picnic. We ate some chicken and some French fries, had a great time. So those are the kinds of examples that can really push your scores up. Okay, girls and guys, so again, just remember these points, practice these points, and then you will be on your track to getting at least 6.5 or higher. So you get into your speaking section, you're feeling confident, you got to the exam early, you went through some questions with a couple people that were already there early, you're using English, you had water, you went to the washroom, you're feeling comfortable, you're wearing comfortable clothes, okay, some kind of semi-casual clothes, and you're ready to go. You walk in through the door, and the examiner says, "Welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test." This part of the test is made up of 3 unique sections. I will give you instructions for each one. May I see your identification, please? Make sure you have your identification, okay? Usually your passport. They'll look at that. They'll mark down on a piece of paper that it's you. They'll put it to the side, and then they'll say, okay, I'll put this to the side, and I will give this back to you at the end of the exam. Can I have your full name, please? Now, what should you answer to this question? Okay, this is going to be a question that you will be asked. So, can I have your full name, please? Again, a little bit of review, but it's good to have this repetition here just so you're really on the ball and you start strong, showing good fluency. So the examiner says, again, remember, repeat after me, girls and guys. Can I have your full name, please? So what should you answer? What is a nice way to kickstart your speaking exam? So of course, answer with your full name, but just write up. Okay, Ayman says, my name is Ayman Raslan. Please just call me Ayman, or you can call me Ayman. That's right, because if you don't say that, then they'll ask you, what should I call you? Okay, so make sure to add that second part. Very good, Ayman. My name is Ayman Raslan. Please just call me Ayman, or if you have a nickname, then that's what you do. Okay, and then the examiner will say, all right, Ayman, let's start part 1. First, and this is already part of part 1, I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. Okay? And then there are some very common questions that they ask here. For example, what do you like to do in your free time? Okay, and what's a good answer to this question? So if the examiner kicks it off with this question, all right, Ayman, let's start with part 1. First, I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. What do you like to do in your free time? Then what should you say? What is a good way to answer this? Harmeet, that's a good answer for my first question. Shijai, Shehaj Kaur, that's a good answer too. Lytton, that's a good answer as well. Okay, Shahaj, you say, my favorite leisure pursuit is sleeping. That's a little bit awkward. It's an awkward hobby. I wouldn't start with that. Sandeep, you say, I love to play games in my free time. Abhi says, in my free time, I like to read books because. Finish your sentence, girls and guys, so don't be shy. Vinay, don't use a modal there. So you said, well, I would like to read books based on technology. Not would like to, but I like to, okay? Just use affirmative language. Saneem, in my free time, I like to read books and novels. Also, I go swimming 5 times a week, or I go to the gym 5 times a week. That's good quantitative language. Manisha, in my free time, I love swimming. Every Saturday and Sunday, I go to a local swimming pool to have my workout. Okay, that's a good answer as well. All right, now again, remember what I said. See, it's easy to forget. Use examples for at least 50% of the questions. Examples need to be from your own experience. Okay, so use leading expressions like yesterday, 2 weeks ago, last July, okay? So that's what you want to include there, okay? And you want to do that right away. Right away show that you are on the ball and you're ready to go. So here, if you like to read books, you can say, well, in my leisure time, notice the paraphrasing, I like reading fantasy novels. For instance, this month I am reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it is very interesting and enjoyable. Or you can say, not only is it interesting, or is it very interesting, it is also very imaginative. Okay? So something like that. Again, girls and guys, repeat after me, nice and loud, please. Copy my pronunciation. What do you like to do in your free time? Well, in my leisure time, I like reading fantasy novels. For instance, this month, I'm reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Not only is it very interesting, it's also very imaginative. All right? If you give that kind of answer, you'll be doing great. All right? Baljit, if you say, I like to play soccer, it's one of the things I do in my free time. Yesterday, I had an excellent football match. I scored 2 goals. Boom, brilliant, okay? Abi, that's a good answer, all right? Great. Adding in that real-life example just will really help you to push your score. That's what you're aiming for, okay? At home, when you're answering these questions, think about it as answer, explanation, example, and stop, okay? Don't keep talking and talking and talking. Please don't do that, all right? If you like watching a movie, Pujai, make sure you tell me what is an interesting movie that you saw last week, all right? Okay, and then they'll ask you maybe another question or another couple questions related to this topic. So they'll say something like, okay, Ayman, and can I ask where you are living these days? Okay? They'll ask these kinds of everyday questions in different ways. Don't panic. Just recognize that they're common kinds of questions. So we're sticking with Ayman here. Ayman, you are my volunteer subject for this class. All right. So, okay, Ayman, and can I ask where you're living these days? What is a good full sentence answer to this question? Okay, let's see what you can come up with. Okay, so Sandeep says, I'm currently living in Hyderabad, I think, or Hyderabad, India. All right. I'm living in India. I live in a beautiful village. Yes, give me the name, give me the location. Let me know if you're living in a house or in an apartment. All right. Rahimullah, I am living in my hometown of some name in Afghanistan, which is located in the south central region of the country. So try to give me some more specifics. Mitesh, currently I'm living in a beautiful town which is known as Bangnagar, which is situated in the western part of India. That's a good answer, Mitesh. That's the kind of answer you want to push your score to 7, 8, 9, okay? Dipendra says, well, I live in Kathmandu, which is 10 kilometers from the major city of. Manisha says, I'm living in a small town in the suburbs, my hometown of Kapurthala, where all of the amenities are available at walking distance. Nice. And then just stop there, Manisha. Don't go off topic. Nurpur near Karpanta, which is the northern region of India. That's very good, Baljit. So those are great answers. There's not really an example that you can give. You can just give a lot of detail, which is excellent. So again, repeat after me, girls and guys. I'm currently living and working in the city of Budapest, which is the capital of Hungary and is split by the Danube River. It has a population of about 3 million people. Okay, so that's my answer. That's fine. I'm currently living and working in the city of Budapest, which is the capital of Hungary, and it is split by the Danube River. It has a population of about 3 million people. If you get a chance to throw in some quantitative language that allows your listener to measure, give them an idea of the size of the village, at least in population. If you're able to throw in some visual language, like it's near the Danube River, or it's near the Amazon, or it's near the Tigris, definitely try to throw that in there. It gives it visual qualities. It gives it qualities for understanding. Yeah, you could mention something quickly about the population. Sure, just don't go off topic. So don't keep talking, okay? Baljit, it's definitely going to be a lot bigger than 500 square feet. That would only be a city of ants. So make sure that the number is correct, okay? Square kilometers, I think, is maybe what you're thinking, okay? It has an area roughly about 500 square kilometers. That would be okay, all right? Yeah, Manisha, you could absolutely say that it is a heritage city of Punjab. Absolutely, that gives me visual qualities that it has some historic buildings, all right? I'm coming from is okay, Arcana, or you can say I came from as well. Both are going to be okay. Both are okay, all right? They're not going to get lost in those details, and they're both work. All right, so they might ask you one or two more kind of general questions like that. Do you work or do you study? Make sure you have some good examples and answers for that. And then they'll get into a more not specific topic, but a more categorized topic in part one. This part one practice for us that I've chosen for today, again, it's coming out of our exam number 6 from our websites. Here, they will say, okay, now let's talk a little bit about sleep. Okay, so the first question the examiner throws out at you, girls and guys, please repeat the question, not just the answers. So repeat the questions. It's really good for practice. So the examiner asks you, how many hours do you sleep? Okay, how many hours do you sleep? Give me some answers. What are some good answers for this question? How many hours do you sleep? What is a nice, full sentence, high quality example for this? Baljit, it's a good start. I think you can add a little bit more to make it even better. So I usually get 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. Vegan, Jeffrey, that's good too. Normally, I sleep around 8 hours per day. Sahaj, that's also good. I sleep for about 9 hours daily. I'm still looking for a little bit more. Mitesh, that's a good one. On working days, I sleep for 7 hours, while on the weekends, I tend to sleep a little bit longer, 10 hours. Yep. Sandeep, I usually sleep 7 hours, and it may be longer if I'm tired. Careful with your grammar use there with the a lot, okay? It's a little bit awkward, the phrasing. Rahimullah, I wouldn't say that's a good question. It's still a very general question. Wait to use that expression a little bit later on when you get into some more specific questions. And during the day, you're probably not sleeping 7 hours. I would imagine you're sleeping mostly during the night. Wei, you say I would say about 8 to 9 hours because I have some health issues, so I tend to sleep more than ordinary people. That's fine. You might even want to mention, if it's not too sensitive, what that health issue is, so it makes more sense. Okay, notice nobody actually told me when you go to sleep. That might be something that could work very well here. So usually I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep during the work week. But on weekends, I tend to sleep a bit longer, roughly 9 hours. Now, what I was looking for here, to see if someone would come up with this, I tend to go to bed at around 11:30 p.m. and wake up at 7:30 in the morning. Okay, so you could do that as well. Harmeet, maybe you threw that in there. The messages are just flying by. We have a lot of students in the class, which is great. So I try to catch all of them. If you put that in there, Harmeet, then good for you. Yeah, you want to take your thinking a step further all the time to push for those higher scores. So repeat after me, girls and guys. Usually I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep during the work week, but on weekends I tend to sleep a bit longer, roughly 9 hours. I tend to go to bed at around 11:30 p.m. and wake up at 7:30 in the mornings. All right, that would be a nice full sentence answer, and then you wait for the next question. Don't just keep talking. All right, do you get good sleep most nights? The next question, girls and guys, repeat after me. Do you get good sleep most nights? Why? So of course, pay attention to that why question. You always want to answer that why question. Let's see what you have for this one. Okay, Arcana, that's good too. Finish it off with I've organized my days so that I go to sleep at around 10 p.m. Good. Okay, waiting for some answers for this, girls and guys. So do you get good sleep most nights? Why? So Sahaj, you say, mostly I get good sleep, but whenever I'm stressed, it's difficult for me to sleep well. It's an okay answer. I'm focusing more on good sleep than bad sleep. And if you're being stressed and or you're under stress and you can't sleep well, you might want to explain that a little bit more clearly for me so I can give you a better score. Arcana, that's a little bit off topic because I'm asking you about most nights, not about your lunchtime. Okay, so I want you to show me that you understand that I'm talking about nighttime here, not lunchtime. Baljit, you said, yes, I get quality sleep every night because I'm involved in physical activities every day. That's great, okay? And that's where you'd want to throw in an example, all right? Nitesh says, yes, I get good sound sleep during night because while sleeping during the nighttime, I keep aside all of my tensions and worries. Good. And sound sleep is a nice natural expression, Nitesh. It means that you're using natural English, okay? So that's a great way to say it. Yes, I definitely get good quality, really emphasize it here if you have the vocabulary, a good quality sound sleep most nights because I participate in regular physical activity during the day. Okay? And most of us know that when we do physical activity during the day, we tend to get good sleep. So that's a great answer if you think about that response. If you need time to think about that response, buy time. So say, that's an interesting question. I haven't really thought about that these days. But yeah, I definitely get good quality, sound sleep most nights because I participate in regular physical activity during the day. For instance, yesterday, I swam laps for an hour, and this really helped me to get a full night of sleep before this IELTS exam. Okay, so bring it in, bring it home, bring it to reality. That's a good way, that's a great way to answer that question. Again, remember what I said back here. So please, 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 girls and guys, surprise me. Remember my focus here. Use examples for at least 50% of the questions. If you throw in these examples for roughly every second question or every 1 out of 2 questions, I promise you that your score will skyrocket upwards by at least 1 band, okay? If you're not getting good sleep, there's answers for that as well because you're under stress. For instance, yesterday I was really worried about my IELTS exam. It's so important for my university goals or my travel goals, and I didn't get very good sleep. I hope this isn't going to have a negative effect. So you can bring it in to reality, okay? So again, repeat after me. Do you get good sleep most nights? Why? Yes, I definitely get good quality, sound sleep most nights because I participate in regular physical activity during the day. For instance, yesterday I swam laps for an hour, and this really helped me to get a full night of sleep before this IELTS exam. Okay? So, good. All right. Here's the next question. Maybe a little bit awkward, but hey, they could ask you something like this. What position do you like to sleep most often? Okay, so give me a nice answer for this one. What position do you like to sleep most often? And hint, hint, you should recognize that there's kind of a hidden question here. Anisha says, I really like to sleep on my right side because when I wake up, my body will just feel great. Also, I've read that this is one of the best sleeping positions out there. Okay, good. That's a nice answer, Anisha. I like it. I would get a high mark. You don't need to say of my body because that's understood from I like to sleep on my right side. Of course, it's your body. Okay. I usually sleep on my anterior, but sometimes I sleep on my right side facing the window. Baljit, good. We don't say anterior. You'd say I sleep on my back or I sleep on my stomach. Okay. So girls and guys, the way we naturally express this in English is I sleep on my back, I sleep on my right side, I sleep on my left side, I sleep on my stomach, okay? Don't say prone or don't say anterior. Those are a little bit awkward, all right? Good evening, Shiji. Khaled says, I like to sleep on my right side because it is the best position and it's healthy. I heard that it reduces stress on the heart during sleep and helps digestion, okay? Those would be some nice ways to finish that up to really get that score up to band 8, 9. Okay, Manilin says, I find sleeping on my side position more comfortable for me than on my back or stomach. This position makes me feel relaxed and helps me fall asleep easily. Enough. Don't keep going there, all right? Vegan, yeah, I sleep on my right side because I read articles about the benefits of this position. Tell me what those are, Jeffrey. So just like what I suggested to the other students, tell me what those are. And don't forget the question saying, what position do you like sleeping most often? And I love how a lot of you recognize that there's a hidden why question in there. So, most nights, I like to fall asleep on my right side. I've read somewhere that this is not only good for circulation, but also helps digestion. Okay? So again, girls and guys, remember, really try to stick those correlative conjunctions into some of your responses. That will really, really help your score. Believe me, it will surprise the examiner because most of your fellow candidates that are walking into the IELTS speaking section are just not using those correlative conjunctions. But strong communicators of English, professors, politicians, doctors, lawyers, etc., definitely use these kinds of correlative conjunctions to emphasize their ideas. It might not be true. It might just be a myth, Baljit, but it doesn't matter, okay? They're not measuring or they're not judging whether or not you're telling them the truth. They're looking simply for your ability to express yourself clearly, coherently, accurately to the question, and using good English language. So repeat after me, girls and guys. What position do you like to sleep most often? Most nights, I like to fall asleep on my right side. I've read somewhere that this is not only good for circulation, but also helps my digestion. All right? Great, bam, you got a good answer. You're pushing your scores high. Now, here it would be a little bit awkward to say, for example, yesterday I slept on my back, so I wouldn't use it for something like this. But any chance that I see where I can put an example in with the answer, I should do it, okay? Even if it takes you an extra second or two to think about that. All right, here's a fun question. Have you had any interesting dreams recently? If yes, what? All right, girls and guys, have a go at this question. So give me a nice full sentence answer. Of course, here your answer is something from your real life, or should be. Have you had any interesting dreams recently? If yes, what? Okay. Baljit says, last Sunday I had a dream that I went skydiving with my colleagues over a Himalayan mountain range. Yeah, good start, Baljit. Then tell me a little bit about it. It was a very exciting dream. I was scared, but filled with joy at the same time. The view was beautiful from the airplane. So give me a little bit more, okay? Manisha says, yes, I have had a very exciting dream last night that I passed my IELTS exam and got band 9. Make it great. This is actually my first step of success. Great. Julio, yes, I've had a dream that I won $1 million on the lottery, and I went around town buying brand new shoes and cars. Okay, so give me some more details. Jeffrey says, yes, I have had a great dream. Last night, in fact, I dreamt that I was swimming, and I couldn't read the rest because it's gone. Joshua, nice to see you in there. I'll try to catch your next response. Kelly says, well, I don't usually have dreams, but a few days ago, I just had a dream where I met my idol, Taylor Swift. It really seemed very real, and I was kind of sad when I woke up. Kelly, that is a fantastic answer. Very visual, very well-rounded. Great. Good job. Hadil, I rarely dream during my sleep, but last week I had an amazing dream where I was lying on the beach and enjoying the fascinating weather with my family, which I am literally thinking of these days. Good. It's literally, not laterally. All right. Those are some good answers. Yeah, absolutely. Although, and that's a good, nice way to put in that contrast. So I like how some students really threw in that good contrast there with the although I don't dream most nights. Most adults don't. So although I don't dream most nights, or at least I don't remember what I had dreamt. Okay, nice way to show your range of vocabulary and grammar. A couple of days ago, I did have a very exciting dream where I went skydiving with my friends over the Himalayas, I think, with an I. All right. It was exhilarating. To jump out of the airplane and see the mountains from a bird's eye view. Okay, so that would be a nice answer there, all right? So repeat after me. Again, repeat the questions as well as the answer. Have you had any interesting dreams recently? If yes, what? You definitely want to show that you're realizing this is a present perfect sentence. It shows expectation of experience, as I discussed in the present perfect lesson a couple weeks ago. And then here you have the answer. So again, repeat, 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 nice and loud, girls and guys. Although I don't dream most nights, or at least I don't remember what I had dreamt, a couple of days ago, I did have a very exciting dream where I went skydiving with my friends over the Himalayas. It was exhilarating to jump out of the plane and see the mountains from a bird's eye view, all right? Exhilarating means very exciting. It kind of takes your breath away. It's so exciting. And bird's eye view is an expression that means to see from above, all right? Okay, girls and guys, let's just jump over that last question. Let's get into part 2. Now, depending on how fluent you are and how good you're answering, you're not going off topic, you're not saying too much. You should have plenty of time for part 2 and part 3 questions. And then the examiner will say, okay, that is the end of part 1. Now we will continue with part 2. For part 2, I'm going to give you a card with some questions on it. You will have 1 minute to prepare your answer. Here's some note paper and a pencil, and you will have 2 minutes to talk. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Are you ready to begin? And then you say, yes, I am. Let's do it. And then your examiner will say, all right, your 1 minute preparation time begins now. Please turn over the card and take your notes. All right, and then you take over you turn over the card and you start taking notes. You make sure you use those notes. You make sure you use the card, okay? All right. So you turn over the card, and this is what you see. You're going to see one of 4 categories. You're going to see either questions about a person, you're going to see either questions about an object, about a place, or about an event, all right? So it will be one of those 4. So make sure that when you're practicing for part 2, you practice all 4 of those categories, okay? So that's really important. Don't just focus on people. Sometimes students get lost on just talking about people. So practice talking about people, places, events, and objects. Okay, so all 4 of those, all right? You have to practice your timing, and again, you want to throw in personal examples. So here, the question is, describe a person you learned about in school. Make sure you pay close attention to the question. A lot of students have made a mistake when I ask them this, and they start talking about one of their friends in school. Unless your friend is somebody very famous like Einstein or Isaac Newton, you probably didn't learn about them in school. So that would be off topic and your score would literally go beep, boom. So the first step when you turn over that card in your 1 minute preparation time is double, triple, quadruple check the topic and controlling idea of the question, okay? Make sure you're talking about the right answer. If you're talking about the wrong answer, even with good English, you're literally taking your IELTS score and you're shooting it off the wall with a shotgun. Bang, and you've killed it. Don't do that. Please, please, please focus on the topic, focus on the controlling idea, answer all of the questions, okay? Very, very important. So describe a person you learned about in school. You should say who the person is. So who is this person? What class you learned about this person. Yeah, so who was the teacher? What was the class? When was it? Why this person is memorable from your studies. Okay, so why do you remember learning about this person? You will have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about this topic. All right. So here you have 3 questions. You're talking about a person. When you're talking about a person, you generally want to discuss their appearance, their personality, and their personality backed up by actions. Here it's obviously about their history as well, okay? So, good Hadil for identifying the controlling idea here. All right, so here we go. So describe a person that you talked about in school. What's a good way to start, girls and guys? Okay, so here, let's get right into it. Give me the first sentence. Rahimullah, you're going off topic. We're not talking about your teacher. We're talking about a person you learned about in school, not somebody you learned from in school, okay? So Nitesh says that one of the people I learned about in school was the founder of Microsoft, Mr. Bill Gates. Yeah, maybe he would be a good pick. I'm not sure if that's the one I would go with. I'd be a little bit careful, so decide the right person. Mahatma Gandhi would be a very good choice, Anu. Okay, so a memorable person who I learned about in school is Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, that is a great way to start it off. Okay, that's an excellent way. Sometimes students start by saying things like, I would like to talk about a memorable person I learned in school. Please don't do that, okay? Please don't do that. So please don't talk about what you will talk about. Just talk about it. Even I make that mistake sometimes. It was my younger brother that one day corrected me and said, hey, Adrian, if you want to up your teaching game, maybe just talk about what you're talking about and don't talk about what you will talk about because it's just a waste of time. And I said to him, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. So same thing in part 2. Don't talk about what you will talk about. Don't thank the examiner for the opportunity. It has zero value. Just start talking. So a memorable person who I learned about in school is Mahatma Gandhi. All right. What's a good way to continue this? What's a good way to continue this? Okay, let's focus on Mahatma Gandhi. Let's stay with him. I think most people watching this today have a lot of ideas and information. He's internationally known. Okay, so Baljit says he was a freedom fighter and I learned about him in my second semester. And I learned about him in my second semester of grade 12 from my teacher, Mr. Jack. Sure. Okay, and I would add a little bit more there. Let's see if anybody picked up where I would add a little bit more in there. He is a famous Indian person who sought liberty for his country. Khaled is a good way to add some information as well. He inspired me in a lot of different ways. Apart from the fact that I'm Indian, I've heard about him since my childhood from many different people, sure, but stay with structure. He was a kind-hearted man who advocated peaceful thoughts, and peaceful protest was one of the famous approaches, of course, for Mahatma Gandhi. But don't get ahead of yourself, especially when you find an interesting answer that you say, hey, I got a great answer for this question. I'm going with Mahatma Gandhi. I could talk forever about him. That can also be dangerous. You want to make sure that you can focus your ideas, stay structured, and stay coherent, okay? Having a bad idea or not having an idea for an answer can be dangerous, but having a really good answer can also be dangerous if you're not paying attention, okay? You can absolutely give his history, Amanjot. He was born and brought up in Gujarat. He completed his higher education in England and earned a law degree. Very good, absolutely. But here, I would just say a little bit more and not forget about that second question. What class you learned about this person? What class, girls and guys? Probably means you're looking for history class or sociology or something like that, okay? Or maybe even in literature. All right? A memorable person who I learned about in school is Mahatma Gandhi. He was a freedom fighter, and I learned about him in my second semester of grade 12 from my teacher, Mr. Jack, in history class. Okay? Really important not to forget that point. All right? Okay, and then remember, you can use your notes, you can use the questions. So what class you learned about this person, why this person is memorable from your studies. So here you can add all of those answers that you were listing. So here you can add, he is a memorable figure, not only because I share his Indian nationality, but also because of the beliefs and ethics that Gandhi had fought for most of his life. Okay? And then you go into details. So I'm going to leave this part 2 up to you to finish at home. You can send it to me and practice it at home. So this time I'm going to give you part 2 as the homework, and we'll jump to some part 3 questions, okay? So finish at home, and if you want my feedback, email for feedback to me, okay? It's Adrian at aehelp.com. It's our website, okay? So I challenge you, girls and guys, to finish the remainder of this part 2 response with what you believe are good ways to keep talking. The grammar, watch your grammar use, pay attention to adjective clauses, good use of conjunctions, good details, quantitative visual language. Make sure you're answering all the questions. Those are some hints, okay? So we're not finishing class yet. We're just finishing part 2 because I'm leaving that to you to do at home. So repeat after me what we have so far. A memorable person who I learned about in school is Mahatma Gandhi. He was a freedom fighter, and I learned about him in my second semester of grade 12 from my teacher, Mr. Jack, in history class. He is a memorable figure not only because I share his Indian nationality, but also because of the beliefs and ethics that Gandhi had fought for most of his life. I give the rest to you. Let's move to part 3. So you finish with a nice, strong answer, all right? And then the examiner says, okay, stop. Your 2 minutes is up. Please give me back the note paper, the pencil, and the card. They'll bring it back to their side. They should anyway in most cases. And then they'll say, all right, let's continue with part 3. For part 3, I'm going to ask you some more questions on a related topic. Manisha, 3 p.m. on Sunday. Okay? All right. So then they get into part 3 questions, and they'll say something like, let's talk about historical figures. All right? So make sure that you realize that part 3 is connected in some way to part 2. If you think of something very different, it's probably because you're not understanding part 3 questions, or something went really wrong in part 2, which is don't worry about it, move on, just focus on part 3 in that case. All right, so the examiner will say, let's talk about historical figures. And then you'll say, sure, let's do that. Then the examiner will say, what qualities do most historical figures share in common? Or what qualities do most historical figures have in common? Okay? A little bit of an awkward question. The way it's written, let's correct that. Okay, so what qualities do most historical figures have in common? Can you give me a good response for this question? What qualities do most historical figures have in common? Harkamalapreet, go to our website, ahelp.com or glshelp.com. There's over 100 hours of videos and well over 20, 30 hours on the reading section. Natesh, you say, well, one point that they have in common is they love their homeland, their motherland. They have a national pride. That's a good answer. Arcana, persistence, full sentence, girls and guys. Baljit, they did favors for the populace. In the case of Gandhi, he motivated Indians to fight for freedom. Yeah, Baljit, that's good, and I love how you gave me the example. I was really hoping that a few students would do that, okay? So Jeffrey says, they are courageous and stand out and lead people to a better life. Jeffrey, throw in those examples for me, please, those specific examples to push your score from a 7 to an 8.5, okay? I know you have strong English, so make sure you show your examiner that you have that strong English, all right? They share the characteristics of loyalty and sacrifice. Khaled, that's very good. Again, be expressive. So they're not only loyal, but they also sacrifice a lot. For instance, all right? And then lead right into an example. All right? So they lead by example, Narendra, is very good, the way Mahatma Gandhi did. For instance, when he did a fasting protest, he lost all of his weight, in fact, so much that it became dangerous and he almost died. Sure, Narendra, again, that example makes it much, much more powerful, all right? So, that's an interesting question. Don't forget about your leading expressions if you're buying a little bit of time, all right? That's an interesting question. Well, I suppose two major qualities that historical people share are loyalty and sacrifice. For instance, in the case of Gandhi, he did a fasting protest where he lost much of his body weight and almost died to show the people how much he wants to save India from the oppression of the British. Okay? So that's obviously a very, very well-rounded answer. I don't expect you to produce something of that intensity, but that is your goal if you're going for those high marks. So repeat after me. That's an interesting question. Well, I suppose two major qualities that historical people share are loyalty and sacrifice. For instance, in the case of Gandhi, he did a fasting protest where he lost much of his body weight and almost died to show the people how much he wants to save India from the oppression of the British. All right, so you can definitely link back to your part 2 response, and if you can do that, that's great. All right. Okay, here's the next question. Why is it important for society to immortalize some people in history? Okay, so why is it important for society to immortalize some people in history? All right. Can you give me some good answers for this question? Manisha, by the way, that is a very good answer for the previous. Okay. Julio says to pass on their ideas. Julio, you definitely want to expand your answer. It's a good answer. I can tell you have some pretty good English skills. Even understanding this question requires a good amount of English. You definitely want to expand on that, Julio, okay? Baljit says, I believe it is vital to remember some historical figures for the sacrifices they made for us, as well as for the fairness of public. They stood against evil. Sure. All right. Yeah, that's a good, the way that we remember Gandhi and pass on his lessons, right? You can keep linking back. It's fine. Yeah, Jeffrey, absolutely. Immortalize means to make them godlike, but in the sense of not become a god, but in the sense of remember them forever. So to have a remembrance of them much longer past their time of death. So to remember them 50, 100, 1,000 years down the road, like Julius Caesar, like Cleopatra. So even ancient figures from ancient times of Egypt and Rome and so on, okay? Immortal means to never die in this case. Harmeet, how do you pay for membership? If you're asking about how do you become a sponsor for the YouTube channel, you can just click on that sponsor link. If you want to become a member of our website and get our full course, which is the awesome way to go for aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. You can sign up there. Okay. Betul Ataserver, you have a good answer there. To save high moral qualities that society can pass on generation after generation, such as hard work, freedom of speech, and so on. So you want to expand that, Betul, but you have the nice approach. You have a nice approach. You have a right answer there. Manisha, you said, I think mainly to show a progressive way to the common population of the country, it is important to familiarize themselves with historical figures. Yeah, absolutely. It's important not only to solidify or crystallize moral values, but also it is important to create the culture and history of a nation. Therefore, we remember those leaders, right? So, that's a bit of a tough question. Just give me a second. Okay. I suppose that there are a couple good reasons to remember historical people for eternity. Okay? Eternity means forever. It means to immortalize, all right? One is to pass on strong moral values, and the other is to build heritage and culture. For instance, President George Washington is remembered to remind Americans not only of their fight for freedom from the Brits, but also to establish the birth of their nation. Okay? So, again, pushing you for those highest levels. An answer like this would be very well fitting for a band 9. So, repeat after me. That's a bit of a tough question. Just give me a second. Okay, I suppose that there are a couple of good reasons to remember historical figures for eternity. One is to pass on strong moral values, and the other is to build heritage and culture. For instance, President George Washington is remembered to remind Americans not only of their fight for freedom from the Brits, but also to establish the birth of their nation. All right, so that would work really well for that question. Okay, girls and guys, there are a few more questions here. I'll keep them on the board just for a second. You can look at these in about half hour or 1 hour after this live video is recorded to the YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed yet to the channel, make sure you subscribe. You can check out this video. I'll keep these questions here. You can review them. You can write down your answers to these questions. Again, email them to me. I will gladly check them and let you know what I think about your answer and how it would do or how it would fare in the IELTS. Here are some more. Let's talk about school materials. Again, I'll keep this up here for a couple seconds so you can look at them later. Practice these with your friends. Practice them in your school. They're good questions to cover. And then I look forward to helping you out further when I see them in my email, your responses. So, just a quick recap of what we talked about today to make sure that you do well on your IELTS speaking. I know some of you are doing speaking exams later this week, so I definitely want you to pay attention to these. Speak loud and clear with intonation. English language is a melodic, up and down intonated language. Speak in full sentences. Use the grammar of questions if it's present perfect. Show that you recognize it's present perfect. Use complex sentences. Use conjunctions. Not just the coordinating and subordinating, but make sure to try to throw a couple of those correlative conjunctions in there. And number 4, this is the one that I'm really having you focus on today, and I want you to remember for your exam. Use examples for at least 50% of those questions, okay? That is so important. Okay, girls and guys, that's it for today. Any questions about IELTS speaking? Anything that you want me to help you out with? Any topics or worries that I didn't cover in this class where you want me to give you a bit more clarity? Anything like that? Baljit Manisha sponsors. If you have questions, don't hesitate. Definitely send me an email. Also, you can send me questions through the sponsors comment section on the YouTube channel. So if you have any questions, we do have a couple special classes coming up, one on Sunday, one on Wednesday. Leshna, accent doesn't really matter. Leshna Yun's asking, does accent or pronunciation matter? No, it doesn't. If I can understand what you're saying, then it's not going to hurt your mark. If you have a really thick accent that I just can't understand, then it's a problem, but most people don't, okay? Shergil, that's a big question. I would love to tell you everything, but then you would be here till next Sunday at least, and we wouldn't even go to sleep. So make sure to just follow us on our channel, follow us on our websites, and you can learn a lot of those strategies that you need to get 8 on IELTS, okay? And you can do it, all right? It's possible. You're very welcome, Manisha. I'm very proud of you that you're such a good student. That's great. You've been really following these lessons, and I can definitely see your improvement. So I have a feeling that you're going to do quite well on your IELTS, okay? Will reading newspapers and magazines aloud help to improve speaking? That's what Narendra Sharma is asking. Yes, absolutely, that will help. Reading aloud is a good way. One good way to improve your speaking, reading aloud, is read plays. So actually read script, like a movie script or like a play. If you read Romeo and Juliet, the play version, not the book version, where Juliet says, "Oh, Romeo, I miss you so much," and Romeo responds, "Juliet, you're the love of my life. I'll never leave you again." So if you read that kind of script, that could be helpful. Absolutely. Lakshai, all of our IELTS training is online. Academic IELTS, aehelp.com, General IELTS, gieltshelp.com. So check us out there. Okay? All right, girls and guys, that's everything for today. Make sure that you practice at home. Practice will build your confidence and will help you to get those nice high scores. You are very welcome, Danielle. Very welcome, Julio. Baljit, no, Baljit. Baljit's asking, are there bands affected in speaking if we buy time, like say, or let me think? Not at all. If you speak fluently along with that, you'll be fine, okay? So it's a positive effect, especially if you give a better answer. Okay, girls and guys, have an awesome night. Have great sleep. Get good rest. Study hard. Much love to everybody. Remember, you have beautiful brains. English isn't the end of the world. You can do it. You can conquer it. You'll get there, and it will make you a more successful person. So keep it up. Keep up the good fight. Bye for now, everyone.